Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice Radio. So today, we're going to be looking at some very exciting Pokemon news. It is general Pokemon news to begin with, but we will, of course, link it into the Pokemon trading card game towards the end of the video, because... well, it just feels weird when I don't link stuff into the TCG a lot of the time. The news comes from the lovely folks over at Jinx Club on Twitter, and according to their Japanese sources, these Gen 1 Pokemon have their Japanese names re-trademarked. Golem, Machamp, Raichu, Jinx, Starmie, the Hitmons, Arbok, Weezing, Persian, Vaporeon, Jolteon, Flareon, and Dragonite. Now, what does this mean? Well, I am a business/law teacher in my day job, so a trademark quite simply is an identifying mark. It is a mark that marks something out as yours. So, for instance, the Pokemon name, that particular logo, that particular lettering, that is a trademark because it means that it's Pokemon rather than some rubbish rip-off with little creatures that you run around and catch. Trademarks you essentially have to file. If you don't file a trademark, you don't get to keep it. Unlike a copyright, which is a picture, where you get to protect it automatically. One of my big legal pet hates is people saying, you should copyright that picture. No, you shouldn't. It happens automatically. But business lecture aside, why would you refile a trademark? And essentially, it would be using them in a different way or for a different purpose. If you're just using Golem's name for Golem, you don't need to file a new trademark. You've got that trademark. Re-trademarking something would happen because you want to use it in a new or different way or a slight change to the trademark. And essentially, there's two reasons why this could happen. And if we take something like Dragonite, for instance, it could be Mega Dragonite, or it could be a Lowland Dragonite. And this, of course, ladies and gentlemen, has got the internet up in a flutter regarding potential new Megas coming along. Now, according to the lovely Jinx Club over on Twitter, the last time this happened was when there were a whole bunch of new Mega Pokemon in X and Y, and the Japanese trademarks were essentially re-trademarked so that they could then go and add these Mega Pokemon in the X and Y games. Of course, in Generation 7 Sun and Moon, there were no new Mega Pokemon. And then in the 2017 Pokemon VGC format, these Megas were not actually allowed for competing. Essentially, for about a year, Pokemon just went around pretending that these Mega Pokemon didn't exist. They were phased out of the card game, they were phased out of competitive play, and they weren't introduced in Gen 7. Although you could get Mega Pokemon in Sun and Moon, it was just kind of, go and get the Mega Stones at the end of the game. Just don't worry about it. Well, in VGC 2018, Mega Pokemon are back. So people have been wondering, are they going to come back into the trading card game? And are we going to be getting new Mega Pokemon? This could be happening here. The thing we've got to look at is, how realistic do we think this might be? Now, quick correction, My Nintendo News was one of the sources where I originally heard from this. They reported on Hitmontop being re-trademarked, but it came from Jinx Club, and they referred to the Hitmons, and I think it's fair to assume that they only meant Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan. Hitmontop is a Hitmon Pokemon, but it's a Generation 2, and to be perfectly honest with you, look at these trademarks that are being refiled. I mean, clearly, these are Gen 1 Pokemon, so I think it's fair to assume that that was a misinterpretation. Clearly, I think it's fair to say it's Hitmonchan and Hitmontop. But then we look at Vaporeon, Jolteon, and Flareon. These are the three that really stand out to me here. I cannot imagine Pokemon using Mega Evolutions for evolutions of Eevee. Going from Eevee to a Vaporeon to a Mega Vaporeon, I honestly cannot see that happening. If they did, it would be interesting, because presumably over the next few games they'd be introducing all of the 8 evolutions as Mega Pokemon, but it seems weird. They seem kind of almost sacred, if that makes sense. Same thing with Raichu. I don't think Mega Raichu would happen. But then again, Alolan Raichu happened. This is nothing more than pure speculation on my part, but it really does seem like Eevee has all these different evolutions. I'm one of those people that's thinking we might be getting a new evolution in Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. I just don't think they would get Mega Evolutions. So as far as I'm concerned, there's two big questions here. Are these going to be Mega Evolutions or Alolan Pokemon? And are they going to be in Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, or the proper Generation 8 game coming in 2019? Now, although Mega Pokemon didn't come around in Gen 7 and introducing new Megas in what is kind of a spin-off game. I mean, clearly it's a proper Pokemon RPG, but there's no random battles in Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, so it's not a core game. Although some people are going it's a full-on core game and some people are going it isn't. It has been announced as a core game. It was said to be a core game, but it's not being used in the VGC competitive scene, and it doesn't have random battles. I'll let you make your mind up as to whether you consider it a core game or not. Some people feel really strongly some way, some people feel really strongly the other way. My point is, introducing new Mega Pokemon in Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee seems a little bit weird. But if these were Alolan Pokemon, we've already got Alolan Golem. And we've already got Alolan Persian, so although some people have suggested that these could be potentially Alolan forms, I don't buy that because unfortunately we've already had two of them, and it would make no sense to be re-trademarking a bunch of Pokemon, two of which you didn't need. So I think if we eliminate the possibility of Alolan forms, plus Raichu, why could I forget Raichu, 3 of them have had Alolan forms, so I think it's fair to say this isn't happening. So these have got to be for Mega Pokemon. And according to Jinx Club, and you'd think they'd be the people that would know about this, there was a Mega Jinx scrapped for Generation 6. So I think it's fair to say these are getting new Megas, but I am not convinced that these are going to be in Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee. First of all, I've already stated that I don't think they're going to be introducing new Mega Pokemon in this game. I could see introducing a new Eeveelution as a bit of a, hey, look, come play it hook, but I cannot see them introducing new Megas. That doesn't seem right to me. Secondly, it's a bit late in the game, isn't it? It's coming out in 3 months. 3 months these games are out. Do you really think they're going to be re-trademarking now? Maybe they will. But this just seems very, very late in the game for me. This game's going to be almost finished from a development standpoint. My personal guess, and obviously we'll have to wait and see, but you know when it's properly announced, I will be over here giving you the official word, giving you the analysis. I think these are getting new Megas, but I personally think we're going to be waiting till next year with the new Generation 8 games. Now, as for the trading card game, this would be very interesting, because the Megas we had before worked off EXs. So, let's use Swampert, because we talked about Swampert yesterday, that was fun. Swampert had an EX and then a Mega EX. You play the EX essentially as a basic in the game, and then you Mega Evolve it. It's one evolution line. But nowadays, ladies and gentlemen, we have GXs, which are evolutions. So if you take something like Metagross, for instance, you'd be looking at a stage 2 and then Mega Evolving. Now, Metagross at the moment has 250 HP, which is about as high as HPs go for stage 2 GXs. So what are we going to do? Have essentially a stage 3 300 HP Mega Metagross? I mean, I know we did have break Pokemon, right? And I know that Greninja Break, for instance, did see a lot of play as essentially a stage 3 Pokemon. But we saw plenty of Pokemon, and let's face it, I'm going to mention Delphox Break here because, you know, one of my faves, and the ability there, you can search your deck for a fire energy, attach it to one of your Pokemon. That's a really nice ability. It's just not on what is essentially a stage 3 Pokemon. That's the trouble Pokemon are going to have introducing Megas into the card game at the moment. You'd essentially have to add an extra stage on top of like a stage 2 GX, and that would just make them borderline unplayable, and then they'd have to go ridiculous on the stats. The other option would be not do GXs, have a separate kind of Mega Pokemon, but then we've just gone from having breaks EXs and GXs to a nice format where we've just got GXs, and then I suppose you can add in Prism Stars in there as well. Do we really want to be adding a new kind of mechanic like that? It's a kids game. It gets pretty gosh darned awkward. So, yeah. Going to be very awkward to put these into the card game, but they're in VGC 2018 and it really does look like we're getting a whole bunch of new megas in the very near future, which excites me, but I want to know if it excites you, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, but remember the rule. Be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio where you can do that. And my baby daughter is doing a fundraising for Tommy's, which raises money for premature birth, miscarriages, and stillbirth. It is about the most worthy charity I can think of, so please go check out the link in the description. And I'll put the details in the description, but I will be sending out signed cards to those of you that want them, who do go and donate. But the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.